alaikum, my name is Peyton. I am so excited to be here to talk about my journey. I think it's important to add context before I get into why I reverted, so let's get into that. Before I reverted, I couldn't exactly put myself into a specific sect of Christianity or Catholicism because I attended a Christian church and a Catholic school and I was never baptized. So it's really safe to say that I was confused, and during that time I never made the connection that Jesus was God, and I never was taught that Jesus was God. When I was about 10 and I was sat down and told that I was expected to believe that Jesus was God and that's what people believed, I really struggled with that fact. I had a really hard time understanding why people believed that Jesus was God, and that really strayed me away from the Christian Catholic kind of environment. With all the confusion that was happening, I very quickly started to lose faith. And then after a series of extremely unfortunate events, I did end up just completely stopping my practice around 14 years old. After I stopped practicing, I quickly started down the wrong path and just did whatever I felt like doing. I won't go into details, but it was very safe to assume that my heart was filled with just pure hate. I wasn't a good person morally by any means. When I was 19, my brother ended up passing away from a fentanyl overdose. As somebody who struggles very potently with mental illness, his death almost killed me as well. At that point in my life, I hit a low that I never thought would be possible. But also with that grief, I became extremely terrified for my brother. Although I wasn't practicing anymore, I still believed in God, and for the first time in years, I absolutely feared his wrath. The thought of my brother being punished in the hereafter is actually what ended up causing me to look for God again. The way that I saw it was, if I found God, maybe I could possibly save my brother. I obviously started by looking back into Christianity and Catholicism, and then I went and looked into Judaism. The reason that I waited so long to look into Islam is because I didn't know that Islam was Abrahamic, and I believed in God, I believed in the prophets. It was actually on TikTok that I found out that Muslims believed in the same God that I did. I started researching, and after realizing that my views aligned very well with Islam in terms of the Prophet and beliefs, it was very easy for me to start my conversion. And I did decide to wait until I was 100% sure that Islam was the truth before I converted. I did convert last Ramadan, Alhamdulillah, in 2023. Of course, with converting, everything about my life changed. As I had mentioned before, I struggle very potently with mental illness, and I am diagnosed with 4 different mental illnesses as of today. While my illness was not cured when I converted, I did find new coping mechanisms, and I did realize that this is my test in this world, and it's something that I can do with Allah's help. Since converting, it has become much easier to manage my symptoms and cope with my illness. Also, most reverts agree that there's this overwhelming sense of peace that you develop once you join Islam, and that never really goes away, so that's something that I've got to enjoy since converting. I find it really hard to explain, but it feels like my soul can finally breathe without it feeling like it's gonna explode. Islam has changed my life completely 100%. As crazy as it may sound to people that were raised Muslim, almost everything that I did on a daily basis was considered haram, and I had to make massive changes. Almost every single aspect of my life had to be tweaked in one way or another. It was incredibly challenging, and I would be a liar if I said that there aren't things that I miss and that I wish I could have in this dunya. But once I got rid of the things that Allah deemed unfit, I realized that my life is so much richer. A huge example of this is me getting sober. I have been very vocal about how being sober in Canada is not normal by any means, and how difficult it can be to stay sober here. To take the steps to get sober in a society that deems alcohol to be the only way to have fun was a massive step in the right direction, in my opinion.